let's continue. We are still in the same chapter, so just in order to understand, to connect between tendencies and money, Professor Wali Nasser, he is originally from Pakistan, and he wrote a book about what happened to Pakistan and Afghanistan. And according to his book, it's very interesting, because what he said that the two states were quite secular in the 70s, in 60s, in the 70s. And when you look at pictures from the streets of Pakistan and Afghanistan from that day, you don't see veiled women. You don't see. Wow. Now, what happened in the 80s? What happened in the 90s? What happened? The change, the whole way of life in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And what he's arguing is that so many millions arrived from Saudi Arabia to the net of madrasas. And that's how the Mujahideen emerged from the education system. It's when we are speaking about that part of Asia, we're speaking not about the Wahhabi school of mind, but about the Deobandi school of mind. But it's the same. It's the same. But they invested millions in order to cultivate this net of madrasas. And the outcome is radicalization. That's the outcome. It's very interesting because there is another research about what happened when Britain wanted to make the young Muslims much more moderate in order to attract them to universities. So they established in the good universities a lot of Islamic centers in order to teach them Islam and to show them that you can be in the university and yet be Muslims, devoted Muslims. Fair enough. And then one professor conducted a big research, and according to him, what happened is that the Islamic centers were funded by who? Again, by Saudi Arabia. So the outcome was radicalization, a process of radicalization of a new generation of youngsters. They came to the university and became much more radicalized. So the outcome was just the opposite of the first intention. Just the opposite happened. But in a way, that's what happened in some parts of the Muslim world. What happened in Nigeria, for example? How comes that we have Boko Haram? Students who went to other countries to study Islamic studies, they went back to their countries and they began this. And the outcome is mass killings. That's the outcome. Mass killings. I mean, what is going on in the Islam that is turning people to mass murderers? I don't know. I don't want to give answers. I'm just trying to look at the big picture. But it did not happen in one place. It happened actually wherever the radical Islam took over. That's what happened. Wherever they emerged, they did not take over in Nigeria. But in some parts of Nigeria right now, they are taking over more and more. How comes that the huge army of Nigeria cannot defeat the small group of Boko Haram? How comes that the huge army of Iraq was defeated in Mosul and other places? But it happened in so many places. What will happen in Afghanistan the day that it will be only the Taliban? I don't know. It might happen again. I don't know. It might happen in Pakistan. It might happen. But it's happening. So we have a kind of a global phenomenon that we have to look at. It's not something that you can distinguish. It's, and again, to remind you, nothing to do with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Just nothing. Even if, unfortunately, so many journalists and academics like to connect it, there is not any connection. Here are the facts. Here is the global picture. Nothing to do with it. And here we see just how the global jihad is emerging in so many places, from Nigeria to, I'm not showing it all even, but Yemen and so many, I mean, they are taking over. In Libya, lately, they control at least one city, which means a district. So in Sinai, it's happening. Where is the Egyptian army? How comes that the Egyptian army cannot defeat them? How comes that every week we hear about 10, 20, 30 Egyptian soldiers that are killed? It's not in the headlines because, you know, if it's not Israel that is killing someone, then it's not in the headlines. If it will be 2 Palestinians that were killed by Israelis, then it will be the headline. But if it's 200 Muslims killed by other Muslims, who cares about it? Who cares about it? So, I mean, but now the point is that many times, you know, when people tell me something like, come on, how can you compare between Israel and other countries and so on? This is exactly the point, this kind of double standard. It means that we hold the Muslims for lower standards. It's just like a question that I was asked once in an American university. A student asked me, you and all of your comparisons, the graphs that I showed you, and you know, you cannot compare because we hold you for higher standards. I told him, thank you. His name was John. Thank you, John. What's the name of the student that sits next to you? Because I saw that she's veiled, and so told me, her name is Fatma. So, okay, do me a favor. And they were together, so they were the coalition between radical leftists and radical Muslims. They are always going together with groups. So I told him, do me a favor, ask your friend Fatma if she accepts that you will hold her culture and her religion for lower standards. I'm waiting. Okay, because since he did not have an answer, so I told him, okay, so let's agree, let's call it in the real name, racism. Racism. I don't think that Fatma is inferior. You do. I'm not. The day that the free world will begin to treat Muslims equally, they are human beings. They are equal to us. They don't have any exemption. Not from oppression of women, not from mass killings, not from anything. Why do you give them exemption? I don't give them exemption. Because for me, they are equals. For you, they are not equals. That's all. As simple as it is. So he was embarrassed. He found the right moment to escape. He didn't want anybody to ask him questions after my question. So here is the new reality. Here is a new reality. And here is the map that ISIS published about, they call it, just like Stalin, by the way, 5 years plan. I don't know how to say it in English, you know what I'm talking about. Stalin had this kind of 5 years plan. So here is the ISIS 5 years plan. Here, this is what they want to achieve in 5 years. So it does not include yet Rome. Rome is the next stage. I mean, the Italians can be relaxed completely. I mean, and Norway too. It will take some time. So it's not going to happen tomorrow. Okay, and I think here we are talking about some. I think I didn't show you that because so many times. People ask about now it's a new chapter, just to let you know.